Hello and welcome to another modelling video. This is Alan from the Ma.k Man at YouTube with another model video. Today we're going to be unboxing, building and reviewing the classic Bandai 1:144 scale Gyan from Mobile Suit Gundam, the original anime, printed and tooled in 1982. This is an original boxing from the period and not a reissue around the 90s or 2000s. As you can tell from the matted boxing and traditional logo. The kit contains 3 light blue plastic injection molded runners and a coloured hand-drafted isometric viewed instructions with a lot of Japanese on it, with a on-the-sprue painting guide and very funky graphic font. The box itself is a treasure worth keeping. This kit originally retailed for 400 yen. I'll be demonstrating the building process through this video. Some of the techniques involved is cutting the parts off the runners twice. First to free it, second to trim it down, remove the nub and sand it clean. Because I'll be painting it, any imperfections like seams, gouges and nubs will show, even if using very premium or single-sided nippers. The parts are then adhered together with a solvent plastic glue, melting it into one piece, and the seam filled with a putty, allowing 24 hours to dry and sanded flat the next day. Manufacturing instructions and trend to the time is painting them still on the sprues, then gluing them together without addressing the seams. Remembering the price point, age demographic for the source anime, cultural economic times, these were for children, and anyone outside this age bracket was a bit weird. Re-releasing and working on them today is tapping into a niche nostalgic market and history of the said medium and hobby. My personal view and expression is a blank canvas and expressing an aesthetic onto it in artistic form, celebrating its imperfect form and quirks. Something lost in modern kits today, and a bit of a twilight or last hurrah that the community and Bandai is slowly moving away from. What would take an afternoon in quickly painting up the other coloured parts and gluing together, I'll be taking my time over a period of weeks, starting at the first step. The parts interconnect and pivot upon each other in segments and need to be built in individual components, such as the arms and legs, starting with the first part, filling the seam, waiting a day, sanding a day, and then attaching the next point and the next point over multiple days leading into weeks. It is very tedious. Something that snap-fitted parts and polycaps has replaced long ago with better injection molding technology and color separation. You can get to every contour and part doing this instead of just gluing everything together and addressing what's accessible in seam lines. Afterwards, everything is placed inside the torso and sandwiched. All the articulated points are mechanical. Sometimes the fitting, flash or molding can be overly tight or not right and requires quite a bit of sanding and readjusting for smooth movements. You will have to do test fits before you commit to glue, making sure nothing is fused together. Slightest run of glue or paint will seize it like my previous builds. Finishing off with accessories and small parts like the shield that pivots around one hand, the sword which is far too small and just fits in the box and tooling. I'm scratch building to be a little curved like a Middle Eastern fencing scimitar, and backpack that fits so well I will not commit to gluing for painting it and attaching it much later on. It is polished and very shiny. I sanded every part down after the seams with a fine 800 to 1000 grit sandpaper and sprayed automotive filler primer to neaten it all up and look for imperfections. Some of the seams needed to be refilled after sinking or splitting, sanding, completing it ready for painting. This extra prep is in consideration for the finish which I wish to achieve, which is very glossy, and any extra imperfection like sink marks or seam issues will come out quite a bit with a gloss coat of paint. Concluding the build stage, it is in one big brick, which is unfortunate, and we'll have to lean onto freehanding or mask to get different tones. In the recent 2 years, I've built quite a few of these vintage builds and getting a better and better feel for gluing and filling the seam lines. The next coat was white to prime it and color balance it all. A final check for any imperfections, and it was not too bad. I am using automotive lacquer paint from Hammer Coatings, a local manufacturer. Color match to Mr. Hobby or direct Gundam color samples from the show or kits. Thinned to a watery viscosity that is transparent in a clear cup with automotive lacquer thinner slow dry, and spraying through a 0.3 and 0.5mm airbrush powered by a Hausching compressor at around 11 to 15 psi. This has worked consistently for me for the past several years. With the base coat completed, I pre-shaded all the detail, edges, lines and panels with black by painting a fine line around to start mapping out and blocking out what I want to cover rather than a pre-shade effect. Being very playful, I want to attempt the max technique again by spraying small dots of various rainbow colors throughout the surface, where I'll be dusting on a base or a couple of shades of a base coat, allowing the splotches to come through in a mottled effect. I've done this before with the Z1100 Goof with okay results, and feel that I can do a superior effect with this one. I can pull it off, but have not mastered it quite yet. I did the beam sword in a molten metal effect with multiple stages of copper and metallic red on silver. Decals are not included in these older kits until the late 80s, almost the 90s. Water slides were a temporary feature for the Zeta MSV line. I will be using an aftermarket Xeon one on the shield. I feel it fits the aesthetic fairly well. Back to the max technique, the shield got a very mild yellow overcoat, and then I built up a heavier coat of that stellar yellow pearl from the K-Truck video, then started working on the main model itself. I do like to shade in 2 to 3 tones. I started with a base coat of a white baby blue, did initially lean far too light instead of color correcting immediately, and then building up a heavier and white tone down. The feet, torso and other areas was darkened with a darker blue. It made it look like a 60s, 40s tin toy. Not 100% happy, so hit it with a very thick silver white pearl to shimmer and shine it up quite a bit. The effect was amazing. It did lessen the mottle a bit, and you couldn't quite tell the shade of the darker torso and lighter limbs unless you caught it in the right angle and light, with a little bit of humes of yellow, reds and blues in some sections. Very cool and subtle, but I'd love it to have been more prominent, which I'll attempt in a future build. Used a pin and sludge wash to accent any sort of panel or edge with Tamiya panel line accent color. Allowed it quite a while to fully chemically dry and harden, followed with an automotive 2K clear coat, polish and multiple coats of clear floor polish for this mirror almost steel look finish. After, I glued in a sticky back reflective gem in the eye as the mono eye, completing and finishing this build. There is a misconception that the much older kits are quite brittle and fall apart to dust if you build them or after you built them. I find the quality of the plastic to be not that much different from the early kits all the way through the 90s and early 2000s. There is a noticeable difference in the plastic quality later to current day, especially how it adheres and handles to solvents and chemicals. This one had no problems, no cracking, no falling apart. A factor is also the storage and any degradation to the kits depending on where it was kept, be it climate, country, and storage. Had a slight different idea how I'd like to have turned it out, but this has finished quite nicely and very pleased to display and keep this. I did previously make a Gyan in one of my GBWC diorama builds depicting a fantasy setting from a LARP that I used to play, and the character depicting the Gyan was a suit of armor I used to wear, but I modified it so heavily the experience of this kit did escape me. Otherwise, not the most exciting kit from this range. I'd like to save the better and more fun ones for when I get a bit better later on down the track. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, until next time, stay tuned for further content. You can check out the description section down below for references and social media links. Very happy to hear any comments or questions in the section below. Always happy to answer. Any interaction would actually be much appreciated. Catch you guys next time, and see you with next week and further video content. Bye.